We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland, Majority Report, Fun Half Friday. JR in Philly, Christy Houlihan, who represents the area west of Philly, voted to censure Green and has been absolutely lambasted to the extent that she had to have an interview with the Inquirer to explain herself. I know online life is not real, but I've never seen such an outpouring of anger on Blue Sky.
Yep. I've never seen, regular, normal Democrat. I told you I listened a little to that Swazi town hall. There's fury that they chose to censure Al Green and voted for that. I mean,
it's crazy. Now, my understanding is she said she then walked over to Mike Johnson after the vote and supposedly chewed out Mike Johnson for being a hypocrite because he didn't bring up censure on the other things. But it's also sort of like, this is not 1984 essentially, or 85. I don't mean to say 84.
Feels like it.
But like the point being, like, I'm going to talk some sense into Mike Johnson and tell him he's being a hypocrite. Do you think Mike Johnson doesn't realize he's being a little hypocritical? I mean, honestly, like what he needs is a good talking to, and I gave it to him.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people are so upset. I'm following my principles.
Al Green said it best. He said that Trump's been using his incivility against our civility for 10 years. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's exactly a good way to state it. And but you see that there's still a level of like willing disarmament in the Democratic Party. But, Al Green ran in Houston 2 decades ago. It was a seat that was not blue, but he made it that, and he's been in power ever since. And like, this is the kind of person who also has like a history of, he was born during Jim Crow, right? So like, this is somebody that the Democrats should be learning from, both from his historical knowledge and from the fact that he wins in Texas. He has pretty good politics. Like, he's been able to win in a red state for decades, and yet they're censuring him for standing up for healthcare for his constituents. It's unreal.
You want to listen to him on what clip do we have of him?
This Democracy Now! Clip I really like.
All right, let's play this. He's on Democracy Now!
This
Talking
morning
about it.
Yeah.
Because and I just we'll put up that tear sheet. I sent that link from 2021. I don't see it in the sheet, but I put it in the
CNN
Slack.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
We'll do that after we do. Let's play this clip of Al Green on Democracy Now! Today.
The President of the United States of America, at that joint session, pointed over to Democrats and called them lunatics. That was a breach of decorum. The President uses his incivility to take advantage of our civility. I refuse to allow him to do this. The President has to understand that he has to demonstrate some degree of civility and respect decorum himself, but he does not. Now, with reference to my colleagues, I told them I was going to vote present so as not to pressure anyone to vote in any particular way, because I voted my conscience. I did what conscience called upon me to do, and my convictions demanded that I do when I spoke to the President. I would do it again. I regret that I've been censured. There is talk now of removing me from my committee with the Honorable Maxine Waters, the Financial Services Committee. My guess is this is not over, but I will stand on what I have done. I'm not ashamed of what I have done. And when you mentioned John Lewis at the genesis of this interview, it caused tears to well in my eyes. I knew him. I know his story. He told me that he thought he was going to die on that bridge. And he told me about peaceful protest. And the one thing that stands out in my mind is when you do it, be prepared to suffer the consequences. Dr. King went to the Birmingham jail because he was prepared to suffer the consequences. I'm prepared to suffer the consequences. I don't say I agree, but I will suffer whatever the consequences are because I represent people who cannot represent themselves.
I mean, that's great stuff. And the idea, and apparently Jeffries has, said it would be horrible if he got kicked off the committee. But this is what happens when you essentially concede the fundamental underlying issue, which is, did he deserve to be censured in the first place? Where are you going to stick up for Al Green? And, so much of this sounds to me, it's so reminiscent. There's like some like mental tick in the leadership of the Democratic Party. You remember when they got into office in 2018 and the first thing that they did was
censure Ilhan Omar,
rolling out HR1, their big signature piece of legislation.
Right.
And as they're about to do that, they end up attacking Ilhan Omar, and nobody hears anything about HR1 because the whole story is about the Democrats, trying to discipline Ilhan Omar. They stepped all over themselves.
They stepped all over his point, which was about Medicaid. I mean, he gave a speech on the House floor to talk about this, where I appreciate both that he's invoking the civil rights movement in this really profound and appropriate way, but also it's not just that he stood up and screamed in the middle of Donald Trump's address. He was doing it to draw attention to the fact that so many people in his constituency need Medicaid to survive. This is healthcare that keeps them from basically falling off a cliff. This is really important. We don't have enough healthcare in this country, which is what he said on the House floor. But I need to protect what we already have still. Now,
you have the Democratic leadership arguing that the reason why Donald Trump was because things were so woke. You'll recall back in 2020 when Joe Biden won and the Democrats took the House and the Senate. And that was probably the peak of the wokeness that they were talking about, right? I mean, Joe Biden, not a huge wokester, as it were.
Yeah. Opposed integration with busing.
Here you have Hakeem Jeffries, when he is attacking the left. No, don't put that up yet. When he is attacking the left, now he is doing so because he wants to make sure that we can win elections. That's the point. Democrats need to win. And that is a very good point. So look at this piece here where he is Democratic leader just went off on the woke left. All right, good for him because this is why we lost the election. And I'm sorry, what's the date on that?
August 5th, 2021.
Oh. Huh. Well, that's weird. It's almost like Hakeem Jeffries' views going off on the woke left or whatever it is, the extreme left or whatever he's calling left max or whatever he is calling it today. It's almost like Republicans with their answer for everything is tax cuts. I mean, this guy is not taking these measures because of a lost election. He is taking these measures because he wants to consolidate power. And that's basically it.
Right. And it's also for the donor money, which is why they prefer to hear this kind of thing. This is so that maybe they add another zero to that check, is if that you're going, hey, we don't like Donald Trump either, the chaos that he's causing.
But what about Ilhan Omar?
But we really don't like that anti-Semite over there and AOC and all the talk about taxing the rich. And so that's what he's doing this for. It's why he's not ready for this moment. And this is why this brand of politics needs to die. Needs to be bringing back more the retail politics that were represented even by some in the older generation. This whole donor class Democrat thing is just going to kill us.
Well, when he went running to the tech bros and said oh no, don't worry, we're on your team. We'll take your crypto money. We'll do. That was basically the message he was delivering. Just you wait and see. I'm going to go out and really hand it to the left. So you have nothing to worry about from us. So I think it's good that we got Democrats pushing back on this, and we'll see. This is going to spur people to run for office. This is going to spur people to support primaries, and that is a very, very healthy thing to have happen. Meanwhile, let's take where was this one? Oh yeah, let's do this. This is a quickie. Oh, you know what? Let's turn on the I'm going to turn on the phones. 646-257-3920 is the number. We're not going to take many calls, but we'll take a couple of calls. 646-257-3920. 646-257-3920 is the number. First, we got that Jubilee thing happening on Sunday. There's some people there, again, not necessarily the brightest bulbs in the earth, but they don't do this professionally, or maybe I don't think they do, who thought that like government agencies pay taxes, et cetera, et cetera. This is, though, impressive. I don't know who this is. Somebody, I think, forwarded to me on Twitter, or maybe we got it from email. I'm not even sure. I couldn't even figure out where we got it from. I don't know who Andrew Wilson is. And I don't even know what they're commenting on, because I literally watched the first 60 seconds of this and needed to watch no more to know that we're dealing with complete morons who apparently do this professionally. This is a video courtesy of or made by Cool V1C. I don't know what that is. It's a YouTube channel, but I think it's the dude in the insert. And this is just like his cold open, I think it is. And he is done a video where I'm getting roasted by political commentator Andrew Wilson, who I also don't know who he is.
No
but
idea.
This is a great opportunity. And I am all for being roasted. I think people who listen to the program know that. But this is a great opportunity to teach some of the dumbest people alive some of the most basic elements of our government structure. And the thing is, it's called marginal tax rates. Not tax rates.
Oh, what?
Marginal tax rates. And as you know, I have, spent a considerable period of time over the years advocating that we return to the top marginal tax rates that we had in the 1950s and 1960s. And the top marginal tax rate was 90%. And that would have been on $470,000 or maybe $400,000. And in today's dollars, I think it's closer to $3 million. I may, I think I was corrected in the Jubilee, and I think it could be 4 million. But regardless, top marginal tax rate. Many of you know what that means. 90% on every dollar above a certain level of income. Let's call it 3 million. 90 cents on every dollar above 3 million. That's what a marginal tax rate means. Watch this and see how quickly it takes them to show that they know nothing about really anything.
Well, what this guy proposes, you have to think about it, right? He's saying at $3 million and 90% would leave you with what? $300,000? Leave you with $300,000. So what incentive do people have exactly to give up 90% of their income?
Andrew Wilson completely torches
No, keep going.
Sam Seder of the Majority Report for Sam Seder's recent comments. Sam Seder went on and argued that we should have a 90% tax for anyone making a certain dollar amount, which he has argued for before. Obviously, it's ridiculous, but you have lefties like Sam Seder that think it's a good idea. And Andrew Wilson joins Lord Jake Rattlesnake here to dismantle his argument and explain why it's a terrible idea. Let's see what Andrew Wilson has to say.
Clip with you. This was from Piers Morgan the other day, and we covered this on our channel as well. But it's Sam Seder, who is a guy that I would absolutely love to see you debate.
Yeah, I've tried to set it up multiple times.
Oh, that would
Wait
be...
a second. What? He's tried to set it up multiple times. I didn't go this far into the video, to be honest with you. I hadn't even, I had stopped it after. I was just like, we already know the answer to this. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Now, if you need to learn about taxes, and I guess this Andrew Wilson guy does, and incidentally, if you want to have a debate, I'm happy to come on your show anytime, honestly, anytime to debate this. And make sure you save that clip so we can replay it and I can tell your audience why you know nothing about what you're talking about. Marginal taxes. It is not 90% of $3 million. It is 90% for every dollar made above $3 million. Now, just to make sure that we can establish who knows what they're talking about, if you Google marginal tax rates for dummies, literally for dummies, you will find on Google a link to this site. Put this up there, Bradley. Okay. Now, let's scroll through this site for a moment. So we're all going to learn this together. Both those of us who actually take even a minute or two to figure out what they're talking about, and these guys, Lord Jeffries or whatever the guy's name was. You will see here on this screen, and hold on one second. I get this up here in front of me so I can see it better.
I'll just read the purple text here. You pay tax as a percentage of your income in layers called tax brackets. As your income goes up, the tax rate on the next layer of income is higher. When your income jumps to a higher tax bracket, you don't pay the higher tax on your entire income. You pay the higher rate only on the part of income that's in the new tax bracket.
Now, what's very nice about the IRS here is that they've highlighted it in purple so that if you are, in fact, a dummy, you will be able to read that. Now, okay, put it back up and let's scroll down a little bit. So as you go, you can see the current 2024 tax rates for single payer. You have a 10% tax rate up to $11,600. And then if you make between $11,601 and $47,000, you pay a 12% rate on that quadrant or that sector of your money. And then it's 22% on the money between $47,000 and $100,000. So for instance, scroll down, they even give you an example so you can understand. Scroll down just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Okay. From 0 to 11,600, that portion is taxed at 10%. Then between 11,600 and 47,150, that portion is taxed at 12%. And then from 47,150 to 58,000, that portion is taxed at 22%. So if you go back to the other, scroll up, that's the way it works. And if you make $609,000, everything above $609,000 is taxed at a 37% rate. So your tax obligation is a combination of all these different rates depending on how much you make. If you only make $11,000, your tax obligation is only going to be 10% of that $11,000. But if you make $47,000, your tax obligation is going to be 10% of the first $11,000 plus 12% of the next $36,000, and so on and so on. That's what marginal rates mean. And so if the top marginal rate is 90%, you pay 37% on your first 3 million, and then any dollar above 3 million, you pay 90% on those.
Right.
And I'm willing to negotiate on this. If we want to make it 4 million and then it's 90%, I'm open to that.
Right. But the point, it's an average that, or you would use, if you were to use what he's the mode of thinking that he's trying to deploy there, that would be more the effective tax rate or the average of it, which also can be misleading. But
it would be the average tax rate, and the effective tax rate would be what you pay after you get all your loopholes and deductions.
It's funny because Ted Cruz always is trying to sell flat tax to these people who seem to think we already have one.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. But he wasn't even doing that misleading part. He was applying the top marginal tax rate to all of the income, which is like basic 101 understandings of how our tax system works.
So stupid. It is like such a basic rudimentary understanding of what taxes are. So this guy's brainiac enough to think that if we take 90% of people's money
There's no
Why
incentives.
wouldn't I just make $2 million? And then I would only get taxed at 37%. I would keep a lot more money. This is really stupid. He doesn't stop to think for a moment, like, wait a second, that would be a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
Easy there, Paul Krugman. Yeah, like, wait a second. This is obviously ludicrous. It's like, no, we've actually done this before, you moron.
Yeah.
So stupid, so incurious, and
lazy,
also
'cause
probably
that's-
very successful conservative talker, I would imagine.
Could there be a lazier content than like being too dumb to understand what tax brackets are, but then you're just clipping some other guy's Zoom show?
I think it's the second laziest after Tim Pool saying that Social Security is going to go bankrupt and not looking at the second paragraph that's right in front of him. Like, there's no evidence that Lord Wilson has like any actual article in front of him that he's just not reading. So.
It's fascinating. And, for whichever one is Lord Federer or,
Lord Farquaad.
Wilson,
Lord Farquaad.
Dave Wilson or whatever the guy's name is, I am more than happy to come on your program. You can email us at majorityreporters@gmail.com and say that debate request, and we'll work it out with you.
These are men who watch Piers Morgan for the education.
Exactly. And still don't get it. And still don't even get it. So close. Let's go to the phones. Calling from a 707 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Sam. Hello,
Yes.
crew. How are you guys today? This is Mr. Flamboyant from Sonoma County.
This is
Mr.
who?
Mr. Flamboyant from Sonoma County.
Mr. Flamboyant from Sonoma County. Okay. Hello, Mr. Flamboyant.
Yes, it is. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Great. I want to show far for getting ratioed by Anna on your behalf to start the conversation, if you don't mind, on Twitter.
Oh, cool.
I wish I
What'd
knew what
you,
it was.
Yeah,
What's
I was
that?
defending your show, or actually asking about your show, and she decided to repost me,
Hold on, we can't hear
and then
you.
everybody ratioed me.
Okay. So you
We
got
gave you the
ratio.
shofar. We couldn't
Yeah.
hear you. Start
Okay.
over.
Well,
I was
who
saying
cares? Just let's get to
Yeah, who cares? Thank you. On your behalf. And a shout out to Mike Figueroa for following me after that, even though I only have like 30 followers, but still shout out to him. Anyways, my call is about where do we go from here with everything. You have nowhere with the Democrats, and obviously the Republicans are running roughshod. How do you communicate to the people that we need to communicate to?
how do we communicate to the people that we need to communicate
Yeah,
to?
how do we base it down? Yes, because this is a meme presidency, and our population has basically been communicated to by memes, I believe.
Memes?
Well,
Oh.
yeah. I
Yes.
mean, I think, frankly, I think this is why I think we are supportive of what Al Green did, right? I mean, because he is in the news right now.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
if there was more support of Al Green, there would be more opportunity for him to articulate the position of Medicaid. In fact, if 20 of them had walked out and then walked out into that hallway to have a joint press conference, about Medicaid, or I think it would have been very effective. It would have ruined
Yeah.
the future of State of the Unions, maybe. Although, look, that happened when Barack Obama was president, and I can't remember which Republican congressman, yelled out in the middle, "A liar." I don't remember
you
that.
lie. Yeah.
You lie. That I don't know if that guy got censured. I doubt it. He's probably was lionized for it. I mean, so that is one way to do it. It is to create a spectacle, or which ultimately becomes a meme. I mean, I think there's a lot of other things that have to happen. I think they made a massive mistake in not leveraging a huge conduit that the Democrats have to popular culture or to culture or to just the world at large, and that being AOC. Had she been chair of the government oversight, the oversight committee, or at least the Democratic ranking member, it would have given her a much sort of like larger soapbox. I mean, so the Democrats are screwing up. I mean, but there are people who are doing it, despite the failure of the Democrats. So, I don't know. Everybody's got to try. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, I think it needs to even be broken down even more basic, because Al Green, who is that for? That coming out, that's for people that already follow politics, correct?
No,
you're people that are no.
I'm sorry. No, wait, Al Green.
On to you.
Wait, Al Green coming out. What do you mean by that? Like
Al Green's protest midway is broader than that.
Yeah, his protest.
No. That's you have it wrong, in my opinion. I mean, that's not for people. What the response? The 10 people that censured her, and that representative that Sam referenced earlier, who went and had a stern talking to with Mike Johnson about how much of a hypocrite he is. That's for people that already pay attention to politics. Acts of disruption that create attention to what the administration is doing, particularly on something that is so based in material issues like Medicaid and healthcare. I think this is the exact right thing to do. This is the kind of thing that cuts through the noise and travels on social media, which right now the Democrats don't have an advantage on.
Well, hold on. I'm not sure. Listen. Right now, the ability to get outside of if you think of our culture and, reaching the farthest reaches of people who don't follow politics, and you think about it as concentric circles, right? Or concentric circles, I should say. I don't know how much further outside of a tight group of political followers Al Green's message got, but it got further out than any other message. And so, you may be right that it doesn't reach people who don't follow politics. Donald Trump's numbers on that speech were less than they were his first term, but they were greater than they were for Joe Biden in his sort of comparable speech, the first one in 2021. So you may be right. That action may be just for people who follow politics, but people who follow politics then turn around and talk to people who don't follow politics. And so that's the idea that right now you're going to reach people within the first 6 weeks of an administration who don't follow politics. I think it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You need to create a general idea in society, one that is sort of just almost vague for those people, because they're not going to get the specifics, that what Trump is doing is wrong. That's basically it. Just he's bad. There's bad things that are happening.
What I think what Al Green did was great, right? But then you heard the podcast with Charlie Kirk and Newsom, and you see those type of Democrats that are going back on their heels because now I don't know if they're afraid or whatever it is. And I run in a lot of conservative circles. This is why I think a lot of stuff, what you do, your show is great because you guys actually teach stuff. You're just not just giving commentary. You actually have people on that give numbers. If we can break those down into memes, I know this sounds weird, but more basic information for these people, that's how they live and get their information now, especially on the conservative side.
Well, we could definitely do a better job. We could do a better job on TikTok and this and that. But
I mean, it's not, we could. We need
to.
Dude. I mean, because honestly,
get on it.
Marginal, just what you're talking about with the tax rate.
Yeah, listen to me.
How do people not know that? How do people
get on it?
Well, I am. I'm telling you.
Well, I listen.
But I'm just saying, I just want to spread it. I believe, because I run in a lot of conservative groups, and that's what they live on. And they're so misinformed, and they live on these memes.
No,
How do they spread the memes?
Just believe that.
How do they spread the memes?
Well, whatever group you're in. I mean, whatever.
All right. Well, we'll look. We'll work on it. I appreciate the call. I get it.
Well, okay. One last thing. Closing on. I'll let you go. One last thing. keep your stuff up going on Instagram. That helps a lot. Clips on Facebook, that helps a lot. Those little clips that you're doing, believe it or not, you guys might not think it's important. It is very important.
We're
And I've been seeing
we're
that a lot more
believe
lately.
me, I want to focus on that. I got a whole list. Appreciate it.
No, I'm serious. But get
No,
we know
I'm
you're
serious
serious.
too. I appreciate it. Thank you for the call. I don't know what else to tell you. Take yes for an answer. Calling from a 916 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from? 916. Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Yes,
Are you
you're
there?
on the
Hi, how's it
program.
going? Sorry. Yes. This is this is Rusty from Sacramento, California.
Rusty from Sacramento, California. What's your meme? I mean, what's your call?
Yes. Oh yes. So I'm calling about our lovely representative Ami Bera, and just to talk about how he's been, just how do I say? He held a town hall on Wednesday before his censure vote.
Yeah.
And I just want to report about how people are responding to him. He took about like 10 questions, I think, and everyone who actually asked a question was very poignant and pointed about what his plan was and what he what's the just looking for red meat in terms of what are you doing to combat Trump.
And just to be clear, Barra was
sure.
one of the 10 who voted to censure Al Green.
Yes, and let me
And
be
Democrat.
clear. This is all before that vote. Yes, one of the Democrats.
Okay. Okay, so you had
They're
a
just
town
showing me
hall
that-
before that censure vote and asked him, he was asked pointedly, what is the plan? And his response was,
basically wait for the courts, and we can't really do anything because we're not in power.
all right, beautiful. Okay, that seems like a great plan. Do nothing. You know what? That is also, I would love that to be able to be just sort of deployed at all of my work responsibilities. I'm
They
going
should stop
to
fundraising then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I appreciate the call. That is not surprising to me, but I appreciate the call. We're going to try and get a bunch of calls in today, so I'm gonna hurry people. But I appreciate it. Great call, and also making the point there is no plan.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say, hey, that runs against afoul our plan, but to say that runs afoul of our non-plan to do nothing, I'm sorry, that's just a weak position.
Amy Bera's top contributor for 2023 to 2024 was the American Israel Public AIPAC.
No.
That's a good test.
I think
anytime.
this is the people are probably saying why would there be a relationship between AIPAC and Democrats who want to do nothing right now? And that is because AIPAC money is essentially Republican money.
Yep.
It is DMFI. It was funded by Republican money. That money was deployed to take out members of the squad and members who were just of the Progressive Caucus. It really correlates in terms of in terms of Israel support. But the reason why these people are the ones to censure is that it is a way to control the Democratic Party. And it is being funded by right-wing money, by Republican money.
And
largely.
if you're willing to take AIPAC money, if you're willing to take the money that is such right-wing money, you know what that indicates?
Crypto too.
Crypto, that indicate, open season. And so that's not a coincidence. It's the fact that they are there because they won't rock the boat and they will enable Republicans. And that's why we've got to primary them. I mean, All those 10 on that list, let's start there.
And
But
I
also-
appreciate Bernie saying in his speech, I think it was the response speech, which is like, it's horrible that Republicans have to worry about Elon spending in their primaries, just like Democrats have to worry if they come out against Netanyahu, that they're going to be spent out of the primary too. And it's a like for like.
Just stunning. A shitty plan, Sam, a really shitty plan can definitely be worse than no plan. I mean, I think that's true. But a plan beats a plan. So you got to come up with a plan. Like, I mean, if there was the reason why you see people like Al Green and others doing this is because it's clear there is a vacuum in the Democratic leadership. It is clear there is no plan. And so, like, the best way for Democratic leadership to prevent people from going off and doing and freelancing is to actually provide a plan. And doing nothing is not a plan. That's the problem here. Like, I am all for more cohesiveness within the Democratic Party, but you need a plan, and doing nothing is not a plan. That's really the point. Calling from an 805 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Sam and Emma. This is Patricia from the Central Coast of California.
Patricia from the Central Coast of California. What's on your mind?
I, first of all, just wanted to say thank you guys for all you do. I love you and your bridge burning. I have a question about Democratic strategy. Maybe it's a little bit of like a naive premise, but I feel like somebody has to brainstorm and strategize if folks like Jeffries won't. But it seems to me an American tradition to try and insulate yourself from like top-down tyrannical power of a carpetbagger by utilizing tools like solidarity. So, like, my question is, why wouldn't Congress engage in this tradition? Like, why not work to pass some kind of campaign finance reform legislation, if for no other reason than like self-preservation? Like, does GOP Congress would they rather be primaried by Musk or their constituents?
Well, I mean, I think, well, the Supreme Court has foreclosed a lot of campaign finance reform. B, it's a self-selected group, right? I mean, the people there are there because they had money. And if all they have to do is capitulate, and many of them don't have a problem, frankly, about capitulating to their base. Many of them don't even have to be threatened to capitulate to the base. Many of them are of that base. You know, so when you're talking about these frontline Republicans who have this sort of threat hanging over their head in terms of Musk on the primary side, you're not talking that many people. 10, 20, you know, maybe 30, you know, so that is, I don't think the incentive, I think their incentive structure is different than you think it is.
Yeah. Also, probably on the Democratic side as well, given that, you know, those folks take all sorts of money as well.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Sure.
It's a long shot, but I thought, you know, why not think about things that can be done, you know?
It's a good question. I mean, I fantasized about like myself at one of these town halls and saying like, why should anybody in this room believe that you can speak for yourself when there's a threat over your head of the richest man in the world buying your seat? Like, why should anyone take a word out of your mouth seriously?
Well, I mean, that is something worth saying, because then it may make other constituents start to question it. Appreciate the call.
Thank
Part
you.
of my
Have a good
new initiative of quick calls today. Calling from an 818 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Wait, 818.
California.
Oh, there we go.
Here's
Okay.
another quick one. Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. What's your name again? You didn't show up in the thing for whatever.
Owen.
Owen from California. What's on your mind?
Yes. Another quick one for you. Okay. obviously, Hakeem Jeffries and a lot of senior Democratic leadership are unfortunately not, responding to pressure. So we have to go to the next place, which is the Congressional Progressive Caucus. I've been calling Greg Casar's office, asking him to submit a anonymous ballot vote of confidence on Jeffries to the entire Democratic Congress. So there can basically be a vote of confidence on Jeffries. Well, I kind of articulated that in what I explained. But anyways, this would give kind of a casus belli for an insurgent candidate to take Jeffries out. And it doesn't even need to be someone from the Progressive Caucus or someone who is totally aligned with us on our politics. There's someone who's more animated and doesn't talk like a robot and do all these hand motions and is, reprehensible. Anyways, what do you guys think of this? I'll take my answer off the phone. Thank you so much.
I think it's a good idea. I think the dilemma is the reason why you want it to be anonymous is so that Hakeem Jeffries can't retaliate. Someone's got to bring up that motion in that vote. But I think that's a great idea. I mean, maybe there's somebody else who's better situated to bring that up. I don't know. Maybe it's Al Green. I don't know. I don't know if he would do that, but it's not a bad idea. Jennifer from St. Louis, could I get a birthday shofar for my birthday tomorrow, please? And thank you. And to be clear, that would be the vote of no confidence would just be a talking point. It would help to pressure either Jeffries or help in a primary against them. One of these clips that we should do?
Sure.
Which one?
Did we want to do that Ben Shapiro thing?
Oh, yeah. What do you do? And this is a dilemma that a lot of conservatives find themselves. Dave Rubin had a problem where he ran
IVF.
into... Yes, IVF. He practiced IVF.
The whole gay marriage thing, the whole being gay thing.
And having children with
that
his
upset
husband.
Ben. Ben, remember they had that sit down and Ben said, I wouldn't come to your wedding. And Dave said, but please, aren't we friends? And he said, no.
No, not that way. Not in a way that I would respect you to have the rights of a straight person.
Right.
And then, Ben was sailing along. All was good. He had his little fight with Steven Crowder because Steven Crowder wanted more than $100 million for his show. And then Steven Crowder is now behind, I don't know, some type of weird paywall. Nobody sees him anymore. But Ben's got this problem. And that is that he had full-throated support of Israel's genocide. I don't think his audience cared that Ben had deemed himself Pope of the Jews and decided who was a good Jew or a bad Jew. And then Ben started to realize, hey, wait a second. My audience doesn't care who's a good Jew or a bad Jew. My audience just cares who's a Jew. And this is back when he had Candace Owens on and he ejected her from the Daily Wire. But I suspect, started to feel like they were losing a little bit of relevance over there.
Yeah.
Their whole anti-trans thing, they were able to catch the car in many respects and got a president who was willing to practice transphobia and strip people of their rights and their health care. And now they're just left with how do we deal with any of this politics? And Ben, in particular, is how can I try and get my white nationalist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic audience to not think about the fact that I'm a Jew? What is the shiny object I could point to? Who could I celebrate and then simultaneously demonize? This is where the squiggly lines come in and we take us to Ben Shapiro just yesterday or the other day.
If we are issuing pardons, however, There is one person that President Trump should pardon from federal charges forthwith. It would be incredibly controversial, but I think that it's absolutely necessary. That person is Derek Chauvin. President Trump should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin. He should. He should pardon him his federal charges. If we are talking about reversing the evils of the last several years in American life, obviously COVID and its handling was a massive evil. Destroyed the economy, set us on a path to fiscal insanity, destroyed children, led to massive health-related cover-ups, just horrifying all the way around. And President Trump
pause it
has
for 1
taken on
second.
a lot of those.
You don't have to take it down. Just pause it. You not only dig back into George Floyd, but you also imply like there was he's somewhat anti-vax. Now he's not really anti-vax, but he's saying there were massive medical health cover-ups. Also, should tell you that there are state charges. He could be pardoned on federal charges, and he ain't going anywhere.
That's what Ben's banking on.
Go ahead.
Cover-ups, just horrifying all the way around. And President Trump has taken on a lot of those things. But when it came to BLM, the inciting event for the BLM riots that caused $2 billion in property damage in the United States and set America's race relations on their worst footing in my lifetime.
Can you pause it really quickly? Ben Shapiro is very concerned about property damage, which is why he was so standing up. He doesn't care about the Palestinian people, but was in staunch opposition to over 90% of the buildings in Gaza being completely decimated, causing billions and billions of dollars in damage. Anyway, keep going.
Back the railroading of Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. The evidence demonstrates that Derek Chauvin did not, in fact, commit murder of George Floyd. George Floyd was high on fentanyl. He had a significant pre-existing heart condition. George Floyd was saying he could not breathe before he was even out of the car. He was in the car saying he could not breathe. Derek Chauvin, for large segments of even the tape that was shown, had his knee on George Floyd's shoulder or back, not on his neck. The autopsy of George Floyd showed that he had no damage to his trachea, that probably George Floyd died of excited delirium. There were no accusations, even at trial, that Derek Chauvin had committed a hate crime against George Floyd or that he targeted George Floyd because of his race. Nonetheless, on the basis of extraordinarily scanty evidence, and despite the fact that there was massive pressure on the jury, that the mayor of Minneapolis paid a settlement to the George Floyd family immediately, that the president of the United States suggested that Derek Chauvin was guilty right off the bat, that the jurors were being openly threatened and admitted as much. Despite all of that, Derek Chauvin was convicted on federal charges and pled guilty to federal charges. Derek Chauvin should, in fact, be pardoned.
Well, how do they get to the state, too? It's amazing how somehow Ben Shapiro has greater insight into these cases and these questions than even the multiple juries that listen to this information.
Right. I mean, he really must not have. I mean, this is what's this lawfare against Derek Chauvin too?
This is quite a scoop. It's interesting too that like he's bringing it up now. This is such a naked attempt by Shapiro to try and be part of this new sort of like wave of conservatism that is
that's passing him
increasingly
by.
Anti-Semitic. I mean,
yes.
This is his way of like getting back some of the fire.
Well, it's also just like he took some heat for criticizing people that were celebrating Luigi Mangione and, you know, his alleged killing of the United Healthcare CEO. And, you know, the comments from his viewers were like, I'm a Republican, Ben, but this guy's, you know, he is fundamentally an elitist, right? And so some of the more kind of crunchy online alt-right stuff where they're doing Pepe memes and unironically talking about like Nazi revisionism, which really, I think we're at a point right now when we're in a far-right reactionary period. There are a lot of these kids that are just like brain poisoned by the internet who think invoking Nazi stuff is really edgy. And like, I think that is a new audience that's going to more Aiden Rosses and Andrew Tates and the Manosphere. Those are young men that should be flocking to the Daily Wire, but they're not, because Ben Shapiro's like his debate bro hall monitor thing, it's irrelevant in this era of conservatism, which is all about just triggering people and making people anxious.
There could also be another problem, it occurs to me, that's going on at the Daily Wire. Bradley, will you Google Mr. Burcham? Their famed and proclaimed cartoon that launched back in May of last year that was going to take Hollywood by storm. It sounds like they paid a lot of money for this thing. I hope it was a huge hit. Let's just Google Mr. Burcham, Birchum. Let's put this page up here. Let's pop it up. Mr. Burcham, we can scroll through a couple of things here.
Oh, yeah.
Looks super fun.
2024 comedy, one season.
No. Yeah, go scroll up a little bit. Wait, is that what your Google looks like? Why does mine look different? Hit all. Yeah, weird.
We're on all.
Mine looks different, but
Okay.
let's go to what Rotten Tomatoes says. Do you have that there? Yeah. What number is that? Oh, no. Go back. I just want to see. What do they give? Rotten Tomatoes gives it. Oh, 41%. What about IMDb? 3.5 out of 10. They did better.
41% is also, that's the popcorn meter, which means that's the reviewers didn't even review it because of the woke, because film reviewers are all woke. That's from the audience score. 3.5 out of 10 on IMDb.
With 1,500 reviews from 3.5 out of 10.
Wow. It's weird too, because it seems not to be going on anymore.
Yeah. One season, 2024. Are we getting a season 2, Adam Carolla?
There we go. Well, that explains why Ben's got to go back to Derek Chauvin. He's going to pretty soon he's going to start arguing about Martin Luther King Day.
Right.
Yeah, we should be repealing. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, let's take one more call. Calling from a 501 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Emma, is this me?
You?
Yeah.
Yep.
Who's this?
Awesome.
Where are you calling from?
This is Caleb from Harrison, Arkansas.
Caleb from Harrison, Arkansas. What's on your mind?
First of all, I know you already gave out a shofar today, but could I get one pretty please? I just joined the DSA.
Oh, nice. Dude, these are free. We
Thank
have so
you.
many of these.
We don't have a quota.
We have.
Well, I don't want to cheapen it.
Understood.
Well,
Oh, I almost called in with an accent. I have to say, I've been calling Mike Gallagher's show today and for a while. I got in a couple days ago. He was talking about Andrew Tate or something, and I asked him if he wanted to talk about something important. And he kind of blew up on me, but I asked him about Medicare and Medicaid, and he immediately hung up, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
I've never known you guys to hang up on anybody, which I feel is.
I feel like I've hung up on people. I've definitely hung up on people, but it's usually after 20 minutes.
I know. not for like possibly embarrassing you because you don't know what you're talking about.
No, anyway, I'm into that.
I also wanted to say congratulations on the Piers Morgan. That you're kind of bored with that, but it reminded me of high school where I had to argue with all the Christian girls and the jocks, and the teacher was moderating, and it was that was impressive. But the main reason I called, I've been gardening in the community garden here in Harrison. I did this last year, and I got hooked up with this place called Green Space. They're the adult living center here, and they do a lot of really good work. They work with sharing care. I just enjoy gardening, and they gave me the ability to grow a massive amount of food that I'm not going to eat, and I get as much as I want off of it, but the rest of it I give to Sharing Care, which is an amazing organization. They say what?
That's great.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. They take 100% of it. They ship it out to food banks all over Arkansas. And I wanted to say that anybody that has that enjoys hobby gardening, if you can find a green space or a community garden in your area and just grow as much as you want for yourself, but then take the rest and just donate. Like, if you can find a place somewhere, there's a lot of people that are hurting right now, and that is this, like, places like that are a relief for the community. That's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys a lot, and
Right.
is best.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the call.
No problem. Bye bye.
What happened here? Lost that. There we go. We got time for one more call.
Yeah.
Calling from a 509 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, is this me?
It is you. Who's this?
Awesome. This is Misty from Washington. I'm just calling about, and we sort of talked about this a little bit earlier, but I kind of wanted to talk about the online left media ecosystem.
Okay.
From my perspective,
You're cutting
as
out.
somebody. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep. Now we can.
Okay, yeah. As somebody who spends a lot of time online, shout out to the Twitch chat. Love you guys, poggers. As somebody who spends a lot of time online, especially in the politics sphere, I really appreciate, for instance, Bernie Sanders' YouTube channel has almost it's got to be getting close to 1 million subscribers. It's at 900K or something. And whatever team he has, whatever media team he has that's making his videos is doing a really, really epic job.
Great.
And I'm wondering if more Congress people would take after what Bernie Sanders and his team is doing to try and push their messaging out to more people. I feel like that's going to be the way to reach people, especially right now. I don't feel like I'm seeing my Congress people besides an occasional post on Twitter. That's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that Bernie's young, and he's part of this young generation that understands that you should be on social media.
Although shout out to Jeremy Slevin on the Bernie Sanders team. There are some really great staffers that he has. So
yep. And part of it is also just sort of dispositionally as to Sanders gets his power and has always gotten his power from small donations from people. And so
Right.
it is in his forefront. I mean, back in the day, he used to do 25 years ago, he was doing a Friday call-in show with Tom Hartman. He would call in on Fridays, I think it was Breakfast with Bernie. He understood, you got to get out there on a regular basis because that was the source of his power. And,
right.
So it doesn't surprise me that he's looking for means in which to have a conversation with his, constituency and growing. And, it's AOC understands the same thing.
Right. And it really concerns me, seeing how well the right has been able to harness the online right media ecosystem. I know that they're funded by billionaires in order to be able to do that, and that a lot of the funding, what you're saying about Bernie Sanders, it has to come from grassroots. But I know that there's I mean online hundreds and thousands of independent content creators, and I really appreciate networks like Zateo that are bringing these people on board, like Taylor Lorenz, and these podcasts that are I feel like for me, I feel like this is going to be a really key part of combating what's going on.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and
Appreciate-
I think go ahead. I can answer off air.
All right, appreciate the call. We're going to let you go.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. It's hard because the thing is that Bernie Sanders has built up a lot of trust with the American people that just the Democratic Party doesn't necessarily have. And I think it's an open question as to whether AOC has that same level of trust, but I think she's getting there. There's been some critique about her attempts to kind of move up within the party and work within the party. I'm a fan of inside game stuff. It's why maybe I liked Elizabeth Warren more than some other people on the left, and thought she was the clear second choice to Bernie Sanders. So I think I'm impressed when people can use their power in that way. It's important. There's both sources of power we need. But I just will say that like AOC has to be careful, I think, if she wants to take up that mantle, not to go too far down that road and keep that credibility, because that's part of what people are yearning for right now. Trump pisses off both the Democrats and the Republicans, and people like that about him. So what's our answer on the left?
Or at least it's perceived that he's pissing off. It's perceived that he's not part of the Republicans because the Democrats keep labeling him MAGA and and showing that he's not part of the Republicans. He's not like Reagan.
But like in 2016,
like Cheney.
Bernie, was like when Trump was going out there in those debates, he was going up to Jeb and saying, your brother led us into this disastrous Iraq war, going after Marco Rubio very intensely. I think people still think of him that way and almost like the outrage that he engenders because it must mean that he's pissing off both sides.
Right,
That's the
right.
normie thing. And we have to break that perception with Trump. But how do we harness that in the positive direction for the Democrats? I still think AOC is the best person to do that, but we have to be careful to make sure, we're disciplined on that front, I think.
All right, folks, that ends the call-in portion of our program. That sound signifies, in fact, a end to the call-in portion of our program. Gold Rush John, Bernie's meme game, also on point. Jeffries could learn a thing or two.
Oh my God, he's incapable. He has nothing to say, so that's the problem. I really think we need a new leader of the Democrats in the House. I wonder if that happens at some point, because those numbers that's the base. This is not just lefties.
Tom Cotton's beard. I have an idea. Let's pardon Chauvin on the condition that he do to Ben Shapiro what he did to Floyd, and thus will have paid his debt to society. Ramona Frankenstein. Trans rights are definitely under attack right now, and the establishment ghouls think they can cut us off entirely. But I have to say, I've been comforted by the amount of centrist Democrats I have in my life who showed me how furious they are seeing trans people scapegoated like this. I've had several people contact me after Janet Mills told Trump to shove it at that meeting, and I've had several people tell me they hate Gavin Newsom now that he got his bussy busted by Charlie Kirk. I'm still terrified about my rights and rights of all my trans siblings, but I know that we'll have people fighting alongside us going forward. Well, I'm glad that you're feeling at least somewhat comforted by that.
Exactly.
But yeah, Gavin Newsom. This is not surprising to me.
No, but it's good to have this out now. Like, this is the person Pelosi supposedly wanted to put forward in the Blitz primary. So, I'm sorry. I think Kamala Harris probably has better politics than Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, he's been aggressive as an anti-homeless encampment person. And so, like, the more that people see this, and that's his first podcast guest, Charlie Kirk. And then and I don't know if you heard the clip, Sam, but he was really like kind of weak. And then Charlie was like, no, it was a liability. And he folded like a tent. It was both the content of what he said and the manner in which he said it, which was Charlie pressuring him into saying it and how quickly Newsom folded. It was such a stark difference to when he was doing those play debates with DeSantis.
Right, exactly. Josh from Minnesota, if there's one thing Trump's good at, it's failure to bone up. What about a plan to have no plans? Tomo Flink, happy casual Friday, folks. New rule, if you melt down over an international airport having welcome signs in multiple languages, then you officially forego the right to call anyone a snowflake. Also, how long until Donald Trump announces a new mandatory egg price of $14.88? Yeah. Gates, would you please mention that Bernie will be in Kenosha, Wisconsin tonight? Bernie will be in Kenosha, Wisconsin tonight. Please note, no bags, signs, or fire alarms are allowed. It'll be at 4130 Petrifying Springs Road. Dizzle McFizzle. I've never seen so happy than in that video. Oh, surrounded by 20 conservatives? Yeah, that was... the Jubilee surrounded was one old versus 25 youngs, question mark? That could have worked. Al Conniption. I don't know if you guys are aware the Daily Wire was an entire production house has taken a humiliating backseat to a moron Twitch streamer, Asmongold, when it comes to right-wing views. Asmongold wasn't even a political content creator until the election, but he restreams Trump pressers, just saying that's based, and eventually became the new right-wing content sheriff in town.
Is that the guy that shits himself?
What?
I don't know, but Hassan, I think, is either debated or spoken with him before.
I don't even know what he looks like, but I remember people IMing and saying that he sits in his own filth and shits himself.
Oh, I've not heard that about, but he is like a very, if not the most like popular streamers now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just saying that's what I heard.
Well, we can, maybe we'll have a team meeting, decide who gets to do that. Crunchy, have you seen the Photoshop JD Vance memes exploding online lately? Do you think these memes proliferating before the election had a significant impact on the results? I have no idea. MJS 617, Sam, this Andrew Wilson guy is genuinely one of the most insufferable and odious clowns on political YouTube. Full effing stop. Well, I'm happy to debate him. I didn't realize he had attempted so many times. Bradley, why are you stopping this guy from all the invitations?
It's news to me. I didn't realize he was trying to set this up.
Yeah. Scary Mountain Wizard. He's breathing so hard, it's disturbing.
Oh, Andreessen.
Yeah, Morpheus. Hey, Amar, do you think Bernie should be bringing people on the road with him to do these events he's doing? Apparently, he's drawing huge crowds, but I feel like he needs to be getting younger allies. Yes, I do think so. I don't know if they didn't invite people. Tim Pool's beanie. The Chauvin medical thing was they keep saying George Floyd died because he was on fentanyl, not referring to COVID. No, I know that. But he said he was listing off things that happened during COVID. All right, 4 more. Sam's tortured analogies. Giannis's theory requires a level of sophisticated thinking that I don't think Trump is capable of.
But the people around him may be,
Yes,
so.
I think that's the point. It's always the people around him. Outsourced Nerd called my congressman, New Jersey 7th, asked this question: why should your constituents have to give up their Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid so you can keep your job? 3 more. Cole from Michigan. Regarding that Shapiro clip, you might want to mention excited delirium was made up to let cops get away with tasing people to death.
Mm.
And the final, is this the final I am of the week? Chris in Texas, how long until the bad guys use the MLK files to cancel him? I mean, they've been trying that for a long time, but maybe. Bradley, Matt, in absentia, Emma, great job today. Folks, we'll see you on Monday.
It might take all the strength I got